Hi, my name is Bob Carr. I'm from Birmingham, Alabama, and I am an artistic humorist, pop artist. I have been creating ever since since I can remember, 4 or 5 years old. I have to credit a lot of that to my parents because they were so supportive. My mother had a little school desk in the corner of our dining room set up for me, and that was my first art table, my first creative area where I would sit down for hours and hours and just doodle and create and draw. And it was just amazing the support I got from my parents. I mean, I never got any negative feedback of, go outside and play, but I just wanted to sit and draw. And that's basically what I like to do now. I was a child of the 70s and 80s, so I grew up watching a lot of television, sitcoms, Dynasty, Knots Landing, those sort of things. And I was always drawn to the fashion, the whole pop culture aspect of those programs. And it was just very inspiring to me. And I think that was a big influence, and it still is today. Pop culture is today within my work. I've always dabbled in different mediums. Starting when I was younger, I used oils, acrylics, watercolors. But my main medium now I choose is mixed media. I use mainly latex paints, acrylics, and I like to use torn papers, paper, found objects, things like that in my work. I've been more consistent now with those types of things. I'm comfortable with those sort of materials working with. My color palettes that I like to use, I think you've realized that I like bold, bright colors. I'm not necessarily into using dark, moody colors. I do like those colors, but in my work, it seems like I'm just drawn to the bright pinks and oranges, turquoise, reds, objects and colors like that. It brings me great joy. I'm sort of what I call a color nerd. I get really excited when I see vibrant, bold colors, and I think, oh, I can't wait to try this out, on the canvas and see how it's going to see. So it's exciting to me in that aspect. Yes, that's something that's for the last probably 2 years I started really enjoyed doing. I love quirky portrait characters. I like to kind of see what kind of personalities will come out in them once I start creating them. I know that sounds maybe a little bit out there, but they sort of speak to me when they're getting underway, and I guess a little bit of me is in those characters also. I have been influenced for so many years. I love Picasso. I love Picasso's style, the colors. So yes, I think that is a great influence with me. Andy Warhol, I love their work. I have to say, probably growing up through the 70s and 80s, probably just the fashion sense of those times, of those eras, the colors, the outrageous costumes that people would wear. I loved it. I still love it to this day. I really think that is a major influence of just being around all that, because of course, everyone I knew in my family, we dressed like that. And it was a big influence. And I think it really did affect the way I create. And I still reflect back on those times and all of those things. And they're still very relevant to me today. you really can't tell today. I'm wearing a dark color, but normally my wardrobe is very bright, colorful. I think it reflects my personality. I try to be very outgoing, upbeat, not always that way. I'm not always cheerful and sunny, but I think the colors and being able to incorporate those in my artwork helps me a great deal cope with the realities of our life today in this world, crazy world we live in.
How did you discover humor, and how did you decide that humor is going to be part of your artwork?
I'll admit, I think I've always used humor to help with some insecurities. Growing up, I didn't always exactly feel like I would fit in. So I used humor a lot. I still use humor a lot. I always tell everyone I have a very dry sense of humor. I'm very sarcastic. Not mean, but sarcastic. Yes, the humor aspect, I think, comes in to my work with the quirkiness, bringing in some insecurities, because I think we all have that sense of, am I really doing this well? Is this good enough sort of feeling? So I think that's why you'll see in a lot of my artwork, you'll see the emotional expressions on the figures. I think that's kind of emitting something from me that I think that everyone can relate to in some sense, I believe.
You seem to emphasize a lot the eyes and the mouth, which are ways of communication.
Yes.
Can you talk
Exactly.
about the eyes and the mouth in your art?
I really think that the eyes and the mouth, like you were saying, are very significant. The eyes say a lot about someone, I believe, about the soul coming, what you can see inside someone, the expressions that can come from eyes and mouths, I think is just very powerful. It says a lot without really saying a lot. Does that make sense?
The background is very vibrant, very powerful. It looks sometimes that it is the background that makes the statement.
That's true. I'm glad you mentioned that, because like we were talking earlier about color influences, I always like to sit and contemplate a while about what color background I'm going to use in a piece, because to me it's very important. If it doesn't seem right to me, if the color seems maybe off or dull, it won't work in the piece for me, and I'll become very frustrated. I've been known to use a color in a background, and I'll paint it, I'll let it dry, do its thing, and I'll watch it, and I'll just be very disappointed in the way it looks. So I will go back and I'll paint over till I get the exact background color that speaks to me. I know I say that a lot, but yes, colors do speak to me. They resonate with me greatly. So
behind you, you have a portrait. Would you like to talk about it?
Yes, this piece, I love the whole glam X feeling of it. I feel like today, especially in pop culture and our society, there's labels on what's attractive and beauty and what's hot and what's not. And with this piece, I just wanted to paint someone that in my eyes was beautiful, was off the beat, quirky, similar to me. And I really, sometimes when I'm creating a portrait piece like this, I kind of just zone out and I really don't know where it's going. It forms to be what it is, and I guess you could say it's just a part of me. And I had great fun making this piece in the background. It's still one of my favorites. It's just, I don't know, something about it just makes me smile.
You're not a pleaser.
No, I've never been the one to fit in with the crowd or go along with the group. I've always just been what I call the happy outsider. Like I said earlier, I'm happy when I'm just sitting alone, maybe drawing and painting by myself. I do like being around people, but you know, this is my happy place.
Do you do cartoons or comics?
Early on in my art career, I still dabble a little bit with some cartoon characters. I'm always fascinated with drawing what I call my fabulous ladies, lots of big hair and fabulous couture gowns and makeup and jewelry and things like that. So yeah, I like the quirky little cartoon characters.
The viewers might wonder what kind of music Bob Carr listens to. Great
question. I really lately I've been into a lot of. Of course, I'm influenced by the '80s music that I grew up with, and when I was in high school, I love '80s pop. Right now, though, one of my biggest influences while I'm working, I like to listen to 1960s French pop music. I absolutely love it. It's fun. It's upbeat. It really puts me in a great spirit to create. And I just love listening to that as I'm working.
pop from the 60s was very carefree.
Yes, I think that's what helps influence my work too lately, is that it's just very, I just think it's lovely music to create too. So
What are you working on right now?
right now I'm in the process of, I'm still doing some, what I call some quirky pop art. I think you saw the piece that I posted on Instagram, Bougie, the little character. I'm working on I want to do maybe a series of that character. I actually got through doing that piece. I actually had a commission piece of that. Someone saw that painting on Instagram and asked if I would replicate that painting for them again. And at first I was hesitant because I didn't know if I could exactly capture exactly what I did in the original piece. But it turned out even better than I anticipated. And I enjoyed it. And I really think I want to bring that character around some more. So I'm working around something on that right now. I haven't really, I like to ponder a lot in my mind, and then I do some doodle sketches to see if it's going to turn out, because it doesn't always come out the way on paper, the way that I feel that it's going to come in, like I see it in my mind. So that can be frustrating sometimes. But that's basically what I'm starting on this week, working on is that. So, and I'm enjoying it. A play on like bourgeois, a little, some people say, oh, he's so bourgeois. And the slang today is, oh, they're so bougie. And I just think that's funny. I just think it's funny. And I like to put up my take on what I find bougie. What some person might find bougie, some other might find it's just lovely. So I just have fun with it. I love playing with the words, and I like seeing, getting people saying, oh, what does that mean? And actually, bougie, really, people have really come to love that whole phrase and the whole, the idea of that painting. I think it resonates with some people, and it just makes them chuckle, makes them laugh. And that's basically what I want my work to do for people, is to make you smile, bring a little laugh to you, and then also, let you think a little bit, and maybe you can relate just what you see in the paintings. And I mean, basically that's what art's about anyway. I had thought about that. That's a good question. I haven't done anything like that in a very long time, but that's something I have actually been thinking about. So yes, thank you for bringing that up. But yes, that is something that's been in my mind for quite a while. So
before you start a painting, do you do sketches?
Yes, an idea will pop in my head, and what I will try to do is I always have a little sketchbook nearby. So if I'm just watching television or I'm on social media, whatever, I'll pull out my book if I get, an idea, and I'll make out a little sketch, a little doodle. And sometimes I'll like it. Sometimes I'll think, I don't know if that'll work. I'll let it go for a day, then I come back to it. I do that a lot. I let things, sort of percolate, and see if they're going to come to fruition. And sometimes they do. But yes, my little sketchbook is close by most of the time with me. So it's big help with me for my inspiration. The fashion aspect has been a big influence in my work. I really love the fashion of the 80s. I love the large shoulder pads and just the opulence. Like I said, like the television show Dynasty, Nolan Miller creations, were just over the top. And I really love to, try to create recreate that sort of feel in my work too. So it's just fun for me.
From Dynasty, what character did you love in terms of the wardrobe?
Oh, that's an easy one. It has to be Alexis, Joan Collins. She's still fabulous. She just, the costumes she wore were just, had a lot of influence with me, especially in the 80s, because I did dabble in some early fashion sketches when I was studying in college and taking art classes. And I would watch Dynasty, and I would see just fabulous things that Joan Collins would wear as Alexis. And it had a lot of influence on my sketches and, my color influences today, the vibrant colors, the patterns, the prints, I still just love it. Yeah, Joan Collins is fabulous to me.
How do you bring today's colors in your art? Because now we kind of have a different palette.
It's true. It's true. I think a lot of that, basically, like I said earlier, comes back to just what colors resonate with me. I know there are color trends, and a lot of those I like and I'm on board with, but I've never been one to follow exactly the trends, what colors speak to me. And I do try to use some relevant colors for today that I know people like, but basically it has to come back to what, is calling me color-wise. And that's just basically how it works. I like to hang out. Sometimes I go to like the home improvement centers like Lowe's and Home Depot, and I'll go to the paint section and I'll just take a bunch of the color swatches, and I get influenced by those colors. And sometimes I'll go back and I'll purchase some of those paint colors to use with my artwork. But yeah, I like to hang out and snag color swatches.
Let's talk a little bit about the size of your art. You seem to have a standard size.
I do. When I first started painting, I did work in smaller 8 by 10, 16 by 20s, and I still have a few of those, but I really am enjoying working more with the 30s by 40s, of 36 by 48s, and higher and bigger than that. I think it challenges me a bit more when I'm working on a large scale canvas such as that. I think it makes me focus a bit more because, of course, I'm working on such a large scale, and I can take my time and I can go back and I can see where this should go. I'm really drawn more now to the larger scale type canvases.
The painting behind you, on the lower half, it shows the brushes that did the work.
Right.
It looks like a work in progress, but it's actually a finished artwork.
Right. There's something about the whole running of the paint dripping down that is quite pleasing to me. It does, at first glance, might look a little messy, but if you look closer, especially when you see the painting online or in person, I think each little drip has a meaning somewhat of how that paint was applied and how that was made to run in that manner, if that makes any sense. Yes, the running of the paint, and also on the sides by the face, I used a lot of paint, but I also used a lot of masking tape, color masking tape, and gaffer tape. I really like using that on the canvas with the acrylic latex paints, especially the vibrant pinks and oranges and yellows, things like that. But it gives the canvas added extra texture that I like. I would really like to work on with the paints and building them up and see how they'll work and how they'll, drip and run, things like that. So yeah, that's exactly, that's the process I'm working with. So
You also seem to be good at murals. Have you tried to do murals?
I have not done a professional mural. I remember when I was in my teens, I got permission from my mother to paint a mural on my bedroom wall. She allowed me to do that, and that was my first attempt in doing a large scale mural on a wall. But no, I have not done one professionally in a commercial setting. That is a goal, though. I would love to attempt to do that one day. I would love that.
When people look at your paintings, they think that you are probably giggling all the time. However, at the same time, you do seem to be preoccupied with more serious issues, that you present them from a humoristic perspective.
That's true. That's true. Yes. Yeah, we can't always be happy and cheerful. I try to have a good attitude and positive attitude, of course. But sometimes the moodiness, maybe a little darkness drips in sometimes. But I like to try to change that and bring it in to a little bit more because, I'm a big believer in smiling and laughing, even when things don't exactly seem like they're going the way that you want them to. Sometimes you just got to sit down and just laugh. Otherwise, the darkness can consume you. So yes, I try to bring some of the moody and the broody in with the quirky and the funny and the happy. That's just me.
How did you cope with the pandemic?
In the beginning, it was scary, not knowing what was going on and what was lying ahead. It was frightening. But once we had the lockdown, I became very productive in my painting because I decided I was not going to be depressed. I decided I was going to keep with a schedule every day, like I was going out to a regular job. I would get up, I would have my breakfast, I would then go into my studio and I would start working, and then I would take a lunch break. I would come back and create some more. And I actually created quite a bit of work through all those months we were in lockdown. And to me, I look back on it now and it was kind of peaceful to me. I mean, in a way, I knew, I wanted to go and be able to go out in public and see people, but also it was calming because I think I had a set routine. And to me, that helped me cope mentally with what was going on because I knew that I was doing something productive in that time. So yes. Right now, the social media aspect has been so great for me. My own website, Instagram, Facebook has been really helpful with getting me out there, getting my work seen with people, meeting new people. So I wouldn't say that I'm not interested in festivals and maybe, being in some galleries. But for right now, I'm really enjoying, just doing what I'm doing and getting recognized this way, like I said, on social media.
There is actually a growing number of artists who choose to represent themselves instead of going into galleries.
I agree. I think early on, many years ago, when I first started creating, I thought, I have to find a gallery, to see hopefully someone can see my work and, display it. But now I don't really think, I wouldn't say there's not a gallery that I would feel comfortable with right now. My work is what I consider so unconventional. I don't know exactly if there would be a right fit of gallery for it right now. So I really enjoy taking over that whole aspect of being my own, marketing and creator and getting the word out myself that way. But like I said, if I had a gallery that saw my work and said, "Hey, we'd like to talk to you about that," then I wouldn't turn that down. But for right now, I'm enjoying handling it myself.
I also feel that you would be good at doing nudes as well. From your angle, have you
Mhm.
thought of doing that?
It has crossed my mind through the years of trying that. I never have really sat down and tried it, but hey, never say never. I'm always game to try different new things, because I feel like if I don't put myself out there to try something different, I feel like I don't ever want my work to become stagnant and tiresome. I always want to keep it vibrant and new and fun. So yes, nudes would be something I would love to try, and that might be something in the near future.
I also feel that you would be.
It has crossed my mind through the years of trying that. I never have really sat down and tried it, but hey, never say never. I'm always game to try different new things, because I feel like if I don't put myself out there to try something different, I feel like I don't ever want my work to become stagnant and tiresome. I always want to keep it vibrant and new and fun. So yes, nudes would be something I would love to try, and that might be something in the near future.
Do you have a painting that you just cannot let go?
Good question. I usually don't try not to get too attached to the pieces. When they find, new good homes, I'm very happy. Maybe probably this one in the background. I've become quite attached to it. He's been around. They've been around with me for a few months, and I might be a little sad to see it when it does sell, but I've never to the point where I say, well, oh no, I can't part with that, because I want to use my artwork to bring, joy into people's lives. And if someone sees this and say, oh, this would look great in my home, I would love to have that. This would make me very happy. That's all I would want. That would bring joy for me. That's what it's about in creating, I believe, for me.
What I also noticed in your art is this desire for intimacy, for that connection, by either simulating a kiss or writing smooches, or as if your characters are craving that human connection.
I think you're correct on that. I think we all want that whole human connection aspect, and sometimes we don't always get it. So yeah, maybe I think that's why I try to convey a lot of that emotion and human connection in my artwork. I think everyone can relate to that and see it, and I feel like that emulates from my paintings, and maybe that brings maybe a nice feeling to people and makes them feel, a little better about themselves, maybe. Up until December of 2019, I actually was teaching art to children. I worked for a company that would go into schools, preschools, and community centers, and we would teach the basic fundamentals of art, shapes, colors, and coloring. I did that for almost 15 years. Never thought I would ever be in a teacher mode doing that, especially working with small children. But I found great joy with that, because you would see the eagerness of a 4 and 5 year old, when they would pick up a marker or a crayon and they would start creating. And I would, guide them as best I could, because I always feel like I don't feel like you can tell someone exactly, especially a child, how to draw or how to create. That's a feeling that comes out from within you, the artist. But I loved being able to foster their creativity through the years. And occasionally in the summertime, I will be asked to teach maybe an art camp for some second through fifth, sixth grade, mixed grades. And I enjoy that. I still enjoy working with children, seeing what they can come up with, because to me, when I see what's coming out in their imaginations onto the paper or the canvas, that's exciting, and they get excited, and it's contagious. So that's one thing I really love. I think that children's creativity really needs to be fostered more, especially, with the arts in schools. It really needs to be more of a priority, I believe.
They must have loved your colors.
They did. I actually have shared some artwork pieces with some students. I feel like to maybe get them inspired a little bit and see what Mr. Bob is doing. That's what they would always call me, is Mr. Bob. And they loved it. I think influenced a lot of children with that aspect, especially with the bold colors. They just were drawn to that. And that made me smile. That was fun.
Do you have a line or a mantra or a saying that stays with you and motivates you?
I think I have to go with the old Nike. Just go for it. You never know till you sit down and give it a try and go for it and see what's going to happen. Maybe it's going to be the greatest thing you've ever done. Maybe it's not. But you got to try it. So just go for it. I hope that my work does continue to maybe spread a little brightness and joy to some people. It's what that's about, what I do. It's what keeps me going, what gets me up in the mornings, just knowing that maybe something that I'm creating, maybe somebody may not like it, but then there's going to be another person that comes around and says, this really made me smile and made me giggle. And I actually had some people on social media leave me messages like that. And that's important. That makes me feel good. Like, what I'm doing, I know what I'm doing for me is important, and I love it. But to hear that from other people is powerful for me. It really makes me smile and keeps me going.
Do you write?
Not poetry per se. Sometimes, like you'll see, sometimes in my artwork, I'll quote some song lyrics of certain songs that I like. But no, I don't have any original poetry per se of my own. I have a website. It's www.bobcarrdesigns. And I'm also on Instagram. You can find me on Instagram at Bob M. Carr. And on Facebook, I have a Bob Carr Designs art page. And you can find me and my work there.